So these are the specific topics I want to talk about today. I have a section on what I call robbing PDP to pay PUD. And I'm going to use a Bakken Three Forks example. I'm sure everybody, with the collapse of the oil market, we have a good idea of what's going on in the Bakken right now in the U.S. Not too much drilling happening there now. But it's a really good sort of cautionary tale. Some of you are going to be very familiar with this sort of thing because I think we see this all over Canada and the U.S. It's a pretty common story. The next section, so this is sort of a mixed bag of different topics. Certainly not an exhaustive list of things that are important to look for, but they're areas where I have some experience and I've definitely seen some interesting things. So the next section will be talking about just data, right? How do we, as engineers, how do we analyze data? How do we make sense of it? And I'm going to talk about sort of three different ideas there. One is the peak rate fallacy, one is false causality, and then mean versus median, a little bit on statistics. I'm not an expert in statistics, but as an engineer, I need to understand how to use them and make sure I'm not making mistakes with looking at large groups of data. And then finally, we'll talk a little bit about finding that diamond in the rough. I look at that in sort of two parts. One is, as a reservoir engineer, on a very basic level, it's my job to find, as a consultant, untapped potential or upside potential in existing production. So I'll talk a little bit about that. That's pretty basic stuff. But maybe more difficult to take that to a broader scale and find, and this is where when we started talking to some of the private equity people, how do we identify good investment opportunities? And obviously the reservoir component is just one piece of that, and that's the part I'm going to focus on. So it's not an exhaustive sort of discussion on that, but really as it relates to the reservoir science.